Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. With over 200 programs on NDA government's 2 years in power, cabinet ministers, MPs to take the government's achievements to the people from tomorrow. President Pranab Mukherjee addresses Business Forum in Guangzhou, invites Chinese investors to take part in the Make in India program. After 4 years, the government announced its decision to auction 67 oil and gas fields. Bidding will open on the 15th of July and close on the 31st of October. Pinarayi Vijayan takes oath as Chief Minister of Kerala. New LDF announces austerity measures in the state. And clashes break out during Trump's rally in New Mexico. Supporters and opponents trade abuses and blows over stand on immigration. Our top story this evening, addressing the India-China Business Forum in Guangzhou, President Pranab Mukherjee promised a conducive environment for investors in India. He also outlined the need for both countries to expand areas of cooperation and reduce differences. The president will hold talks with the Chinese president and premier on Thursday.
President Pranab Mukherjee on Wednesday urged Chinese investors to take part in the Make in India program. He assured them that India was committed to providing an encouraging environment for Chinese investments. Addressing the India-China Business Forum in Guangzhou, Mukherjee told the gathering that India is today one of the biggest global investment destinations, with bilateral trade growing to $71 billion in 2015.
To realize the full potential of our economic partnership, it is important to bridge the information gap between our business communities. We are committed to providing a conducive environment for more investments from China. India would like to see a greater market for our products in China, particularly in sectors where we have natural complementarities and competitive edge.
Earlier, Pranab Mukherjee held talks with Guangdong Governor Chu Xiaoden and other officials on economic and cultural matters. Meanwhile, reacting to the president's visit, the Tibetan government in exile said bilateral ties between India and China cannot progress until the Tibet issue was resolved.
Whether both countries like it or not, accept it or not, the issue of Tibet remains an important sticking point. Of course, we always welcome any progress in the development of relations between the two countries. The core issues still remain unresolved, that is the issue of security of Indian borders.
Mukherjee will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday for delegation-level talks. He is also slated to hold talks with Premier Li Keqiang and other top leaders. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India has offered auction of 67 discovered oil and gas fields on Wednesday after a gap of over 4 years. Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan announced that bidding for these fields will open on the 15th of July. The last date will be the 31st of October.
9 months after the Union Cabinet cleared the decision, the government on Wednesday announced auction of discovered oil and gas fields. Global bidders will seek claim to as many as 67 discoveries clubbed into 46 fields that hold resources worth nearly 70,000 crore. 28 discoveries are in Mumbai offshore, 14 in the Krishna-Godavari basin, while 10 are on the Assam shelf. The biggest discovery is the D18 in Mumbai offshore that holds 14.78 million tons oil reserves. Among gas discoveries, the largest is B9 in offshore Kutch basin with 14.67 billion cubic meters.
ये देश की अर्थनीति में मददगार होगी और मैं आज जिस प्रकार से उत्साह लोगों के अंदर दिख रहा हूं, मार्केट में दिख रहा हूं, उसमें भारत की नए उद्योमी आएंगे और विश्व स्तर के भी इन्वेस्टर उसमें से आएंगे। भारत की बाजार की स्थिति को देख के भारत इन दिनों में एक निवेश की एश्योर्ड पॉइंट बन चुका है.
The government claimed these discoveries of ONGC and All India Limited in 2012-13 since the small size and price made production unviable. However, these state-run entities can bid to get back their discoveries. But experts feel oil and gas price volatility and the high cost of production might dampen investor sentiment.
One is external to these fields, which is mostly on the oil and gas prices. There's so much of price uncertainty, price volatility, that investing in oil and gas anywhere is a question mark at this time. So that's a general challenge. On the specific challenges in this is that the fields are relatively small, right? So the prospectivity is also relatively small. But then you have to weigh it against the advantages which are also there. These are discovered fields. So to that extent, the risks are way lower than any new prospecting.
Winners get a 20-year license with marketing and pricing freedom on a revenue sharing contract. The government also plans to conduct roadshows for global investors in places like Singapore, Houston, London, Dubai and Perth. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the NDA government completes 2 years in power on the 26th of May. The government has plans to mark the anniversary with a series of events spread over a fortnight. Here are the details.
The Narendra Modi-led NDA government marks 2 years in power on May 26th. To mark the anniversary, 200 programs will be held between 26th of May and 10th of June. The first of these will be a rally in Uttar Pradesh, Saharanpur, addressed by the Prime Minister. Through these functions, cabinet ministers and NDA MPs will take the government's achievements to the people.
कार्यकर्ताओं का सम्मेलन होगा. जो बेनिफिशरीज हैं विभिन्न योजनाओं के, उनके सम्मेलन हो सकते हैं. कुछ किसान सम्मेलन, कुछ युवा सम्मेलन, कुछ महिला सम्मेलन, इस तरह के कार्यक्रम करेंगे. प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस होंगी.
A special celebration on May 28th will be held at India Gate in the national capital. At the event, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the Digital India campaign and rural electrification projects will be highlighted. But opposition parties allege that the government has been unable to fulfill its promises in the past 2 years.
पिछले 2 साल में जो टूटे हुए वादों की कहानी है, जो अच्छे दिन के सब्ज बाग दिखाए थे प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने, और किस तरह लोगों में एक निराशा का वातावरण है, ये उसका उत्कृष्ट सम्मिश्रण है.
वो कहीं भी उनका रोड मैप भी नहीं दिखता वो कैसे पूरी होंगी. जैसे गंगा की सफाई है, किसानों की उत्पादन के 1.5 गुना दाम देंगे, बेकार और बेरोजगार नौजवानों को 2 करोड़ रोजगार देंगे.
All central ministries will also present their report card. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Pinarayi Vijayan took oath as the Chief Minister of Kerala along with 19 ministers. The ceremony was held at the Central Stadium in Thiruvananthapuram and drew over 30,000 people. Vijayan is a CPIM veteran who served as the party's Kerala State Secretary for 17 years, the longest tenure ever. He's also been elected to the State Assembly 5 times and won this year's election from Dharmadam constituency by a margin of 36,000 votes. Vijayan, who was picked to be Chief Minister over V.S. Achyutanandan, has said his government will be a people's government and will function for the welfare of the people. In his cabinet, Vijayan will have 12 ministers from the CPIM, 4 from the CPI and 1 each from the left constituents of LDF constituents of the Janata Dal Secular and the Nationalist Congress Party and the Congress S. Now, after forming the government in Assam for the first time, the BJP is now hoping to build upon its political breakthrough in the entire northeastern region. For this, the parties formed a Northeast Democratic Alliance comprising of the ruling parties of Sikkim, Naga and Nagaland, apart from the NDA partners in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. Former Congressman Hemanta Biswa Sharma, said to be the architect of BJP's victory in Assam, will lead the front.
After its victory in Assam, the Bharatiya Janata Party is now broad-basing its presence in the northeast. The party has formed an anti-Congress bloc, the Northeast Democratic Alliance, to improve coordination among the NDA partners. Former Congressman and number 2 in the Sarbanand Sonowal government, Hemanta Biswa Sarma, will lead the front.
We will work together for the development of Northeast. We will share our common problems in this platform. We will try to solve our common problems. We will try to grow together as a Northeast. And under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, this platform will work together to ensure that Northeast become one of the growth engine, rather a dark growth engine for the country.
The decision was taken at a meeting chaired by Party President Amit Shah, BJP General Secretary Ram Madhav, Chief Ministers of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland and Sikkim were also present at the meet.
Northeast Democratic Alliance will be an alliance of non-Congress parties in the northeastern states. Today in 4 states we are in power, and there are 4 other states in the region. There are important non-Congress political parties. All these parties will come together and become constituents of this Northeast Democratic Alliance.
This is a great decision for the overall growth of Northeast. We are sure that with this particular platform, Northeast will prosper in a bigger way.
The Northeast Democratic Alliance is expected to form strategies to unseat rival Congress governments in the region. At present, the Congress has 3 state governments, Manipur, Meghalaya and Mizoram in the Northeast. The BJP is expected to go for tie-ups with smaller regional political parties to make political gains like it did in Assam. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Soaring temperatures in Rajasthan have broken all records in the Ajmer district there. It's not only worsened the drought and the water crisis in the district, but women have been hit the hardest by the situation.
Housework and gathering cattle feed are the exclusive responsibility of the women of Hathipura village. But these days, arranging water for the household is an additional task that takes up their entire time. In Ajmer's Bandhanwada Panchayat, the water tank has been empty for the last 7 years. So are other water sources for the 300-odd villagers. These days, people are warned against going out in the overpowering heat, but the women have no option but to walk on broken, stone-filled, treeless roads to fetch water for their homes.
5 किलोमीटर से दूर से पानी आ रहा है और वहाँ का सड़क नहीं है, बिल्कुल डांडा का चारों नहीं है, बिल्कुल दुखी बनना को हो रहा हम उधर मोटियारा ना कोई दिक्कत ना आती है, लुगे ना दिक्कत आती, 4 हाथ ले लेर घर आता पानी ले लेर मटकी से.
Ajmer's rural areas are facing a huge water scarcity. The mercury is touching 50 degrees Celsius. Hot winds blow at night, but there is no respite for the women who are angry with the state of affairs.
वो सबसे ज्यादा तो पानी की समस्या है, वो वहाँ पर रोड पे 1.5 किलोमीटर वहाँ लेके आती है पानी. एक पास का मैं बड़े वो रोड अब आती है ना पहाड़ आदि बड़े बाप यहाँ लेके कुछ बात कमाई कराती.
हमारे गांव में पानी बहुत दूर से आते हैं, वो भी थक जाते आते आते, वो 3-4 सांस लेके घर पे आते. मेरे गांव में रोड पक्की की नहीं है, आते है खुरंजा बिड़ाना है.
Some 9 lakh people are affected in the villages. Farming is in a state of crisis. Both water and fodder are in scarce supply. The Bandhanwada Panchayat is one of the biggest in the region, but despite efforts of its sarpanch, government assistance hasn't reached them.
हमने पंचायत समिति मीटिंग में अधिकारियों को बता दिया, प्रधान जी को बता दिया और मंत्री महोदय को और अपने विधायक महोदय को बता दिया. उन्होंने बार-बार हमारे को आश्वासन देकर के आगे से आगे इसमें क्रियान्वित कर रहे हैं, कार्य कर रहे हैं. अब फाइल भेज रहे हैं, ऊपर काम हो रहा है. आपका 8 लाख की स्वीकृति भी आपने निकाल दी है, उसकी स्वीकृति आज दिन तक नहीं आई है.
Ajmer district has been declared drought affected. Despite the water crisis, there are few signs of institutional assistance. Women are the biggest victim of the negligence. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more national news updates now nationwide. India today condemned the killing of a Congolese national postgraduate student in Delhi last week and assured safety for thousands of African nationals in the country. Calling the incident unfortunate, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Vikas Swarup said all criminal acts shouldn't be seen as racially motivated. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, DMK Chief M. Karunanidhi and M.K. Stalin were today sworn in as MLAs in the 15th Tamil Nadu Assembly. The House met for its first session under Pro-Tem Speaker S. Semamalai. Jayalalitha, who was the first to be sworn in after the House met. Bihar police arrested 5 shooters in connection with the Siwan journalist Rajya Ranjan's murder case. The shooters are reportedly associated with Laddan Mia, who has allegedly worked as a henchman for Mohammad Shahabuddin, the RJD leader in Siwan. The Opposition National Conference and the Congress today walked out from a joint session of the Jammu and Kashmir legislature, protesting against the Armed Forces Special Powers Act and shortage of food rations in the state. They also demanded dismissal of Forest Minister Lal Singh for his remarks against Gujars in Jammu last week. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now. And the United States has said that it is watching the Indo-Iran ties very closely. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for South and Central Asia said that India's relationship with Iran is primarily based on economic and energy issues. However, the United States is examining the details of the Chabahar announcement between India and Iran. Responding to a question expressing concerns between India's relationship with Iran, the Assistant Secretary of State said, and I quote, that's Indians, have been very responsive and receptive to our briefings to what we believe the line are. And we have to examine the details of the Chabahar announcements to see where it falls in that place. Unquote. In a recently concluded deal between India and Iran, India will invest $500 million for the development of the Chabahar port. And the 42nd two-day annual meeting of the Group 7 summit will start from May 26th in Japan's Kushiko Island. Leaders from these Group of 7 industrialized nations have started arriving at the venue. A day before the summit, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe made a pilgrimage to the Ise Grand Shrine, the holiest shrine in Japan's Shinto region.
The leaders of the world's 7 richest nations have begun arriving in Kashiko Island of Japan to attend the 42nd two-day annual meeting of G7. The leaders will discuss the fragile global economy and are expected to promote a combination of monetary, fiscal and structural policies. Terrorism, refugees, trade, cybersecurity and maritime security will also be discussed.
中方呢在南海所进行的活动完全是正当合法、无可非议的。中国完全有权、必须，而且呢也能够 维护自己在南海地区的正当的权益不再受到侵害。
Bu yetkilerle yığında müzakere kılınmaktan mesele terörizm meselesi ile göçmenler meselesi iken bizning xalqimizga dünya ilgi çıkmışsa bu yetki devlet meselesi de başka yığınlardan bizning xalqimizning meselesi.
Before the official summit begins Thursday, the G7 finance ministers met to discuss issues ranging from the global economy and foreign exchange rates to money laundering. The ministers also discussed tax transparency and money laundering in the wake of the Panama data leak.
さらにマネロン対策、マネーロンダリングの対策という観点から実質的な所有者情報の透明性の向上について議論を継続することの重要性を確認をいたしております。
Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena will also join the leaders from Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, USA and representatives of the European Union. Sirisena is an official invitee of the Japanese Prime Minister as an outreach partner. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the Afghan Taliban yesterday confirmed the killing of its leader, Mullah Muhammad Akhtar Mansoor, in a US drone strike last week. It has appointed Maulvi Habibatullah Akhundzada as the new leader of the group. An online statement said all members of Taliban's leadership council have pledged allegiance to Akhundzada. The council also chose Mullah Sirajuddin Haqqani and Mullah Muhammad Yaqub, son of Taliban founder Mullah Muhammad Omar, as the first and second deputies to Akhundzada. Now, protesters repeatedly interrupted a campaign rally by U.S. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump in Albuquerque, New Mexico on Wednesday. More than 100,000 demonstrators clashed with police outside the event as demonstrators threw burning T-shirts and other items at officers.
Chaotic scenes outside Albuquerque's convention center at Donald Trump's rally in New Mexico. As protesters lit fires, threw rocks and plastic bottles and chanted anti-Trump slogans, holding up signs and waving Mexican flags. Police responded by firing pepper spray and smoke grenades. Protesters also interrupted Trump's speech at the rally with chants against his position on illegal immigration and plans to build a border wall with Mexico. The protest started peacefully outside the convention center a few hours before the rally began. Tensions rose as Trump supporters also started arriving. The proceedings became violent when both sides started hurling abuses at each other. It's not the first time that violence has broken out at Trump's rallies. He cancelled a gathering in Chicago in March after his supporters clashed with opponents. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. Floods subsided across Sri Lanka, revealing the full extent of damage from last week's deluge that also triggered landslides. The Disaster Management Centre said 101 people died last week, while 100 more listed as missing in the worst-hit central district of Kegal. Bangladesh claims that the ISIS terror group is trying to initiate religious radicalization by falsely claiming a spate of local killings. Analysts say this is a sign that ISIS is losing territory in Iraq and Syria and its finances are depleting. They fear that it's trying to build affiliates in countries such as Libya, Egypt and Bangladesh for jihadists to launch attacks locally and cheaply. US President Barack Obama took off from the Vietnamese commercial hub Ho Chi Minh City, bringing his trip to the former enemy to an end. Thousands came out to bid him farewell as his convoy drove through the city. Earlier in the day, Obama held a town hall meeting with Vietnamese youths, answering questions related to issues ranging from the environment to politics. Time for some sports action now in Sports Beat. The Indo-Swiss tennis pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis will start their campaign at the French Open today. The top-seeded pair will take on the Russian team of Daria Kasatkina and Alexandra Papanova. In the men's doubles, Leander Paes and Rohan Bopanna will be seen in action with their teammates in the first round. Serena Williams started her title defense with a crushing 6-2, 6-0 win over Slovakia's Magdalena. Serena broke the 77th ranked Magdalena 6 times to progress into the second round. She will next face Brazil's Tilana Pereira or Kristina Silkova of the Czech Republic for a place in the last 32. However, Angelique Kerber became the tournament's first major casualty as she lost to Kiki Bertens 6-2, 3-6, 6-3. The Russian Olympic Committee has said that 14 of its athletes at the 2008 Beijing Olympics tested positive for doping during retests of the samples. Sports Minister Vitaly Mutko said the results are not an objective picture of Russia's doping situation. Football club Ajax have appointed former Netherlands international midfielder Peter Bos as the new manager on a 3-year deal. Bosses will replace Frank de Boer, who left Ajax after they were beaten to the title in Netherlands on the final day of the season by PSV Eindhoven. That's all from us. Goodbye.